questions as we go along through the session. But it's very cool to have you guys here. It's fantastic to get to this stage. Welcome to the 10,000 party. We'll have a party every 10,000. It's brilliant. It was a bit of a gamble. I just started this channel earlier this year and thought, let's see how it goes. And it's been fantastic to see all the support and have you guys on board. So very cool. Thank you very much for joining. Those of you that have subscribed, those of you that haven't subscribed, where have you been? The idea with subscribing on YouTube is completely free, but it does tell YouTube that paragliding is important. So that helps increase the visibility of this channel, which means when you pop onto YouTube, you actually see my videos instead of some ARB videos about Donald Trump and Joe Biden or something terribly boring like that. So, cool. Hi, Philip. Hi from Beer Billing. Great. Don't know what time of the day that makes it for you. I've tried to pick a time that's sort of convenient for everybody. Give me a second. I've just got to catch the mouse. Right. Got the mouse. And get the studio back into shape. I'm having to do some of the little comments here. I just need to interact with them with the mouse. It's all pretty complicated. Okay, hey Gunther. What's my favorite wing right now? Thanks, Gunther. I see Gunther's the first one to hit a super chat. This is something new that we've just added onto the channel. If you go down to the bottom right, I think in the chat, there's somewhere there, you can buy a super chat. It's totally up to you guys. Some guys have said to me they want a way to just kind of contribute to the channel. They don't want to do the whole subscribe thing. They're not ready for a membership, but they just want to chuck something in the tip jar. That's where it is. It's down on the side, down in the super chat, and you basically just pick a number, and it'll then highlight your comment and throw it up in the feed as a kind of a super chat comment. So that's very cool. So thanks, Gunther. My favorite wing right now. Well, I'm always decide on my wing depending on what I'm into that year. So this year I was into hike and fly racing, and then of course COVID came along and the whole thing just went and I kind of missed the boat, unfortunately. Some of the hike and fly races went ahead, but I hadn't expected them to, and I'd sort of decided that I wasn't going to be doing them because I couldn't get there. And then there were some that were ran. Missed the Eiger Tour, missed the big one that I missed was the X-Pier, which was very sad. That didn't happen, but that was what I was planning for, and that's why I'm flying an Omega X-Alps 3. That is, for me, for what I wanted, the best hike and fly racing wing on the market at the moment. I'm still very happy with it. It does cross over as a very nice general low END wing to fly. It's more like a C. It handles really beautifully. It's very easy to ground handle, and I spend a lot of time messing around, on the ground, making videos for you guys. So I really like a wing that will stay alive at various angles, and I can play with it, and I can stand on little funny things and fly off them. So that's the real strength of the advanced Omega X-Alps 3. It's a two-liner that behaves like a C, even a high B. I mean, it's just super easy to control and manage. So that's why I'm on that. Luke, when are you coming back to Cape Town? Dude, we're just like international travel has just stopped really, and I'm kind of limited. Family leave situation means that I can't get to South Africa this year. So that's a bit of a shame. I would have loved to have come to South Africa and come and flown with you guys, but it looks like it's going to be More likely sort of mid next year when the flying overseas international travel and everything has become a little bit more sensible. Cool. Hey Sean, morning from Canada. So it's morning there, it's probably late at night in India, and I've kind of picked a time that's okay for most of Europe, UK. You guys are from all over the world, so it's very difficult to find a live stream time that works for everybody, but obviously works for you guys because you're here, so great to see you. Okay, I'm just jumping around through the questions just to see what's happening. I'm going to pick out here, Miyamoto, your opinion to step from an ENA to an ENB high wing. Okay, so that's quite a step going from an ENA to the high B. There's usually a step between that. There's the low B, mid B kind of progression wing. This totally depends on where you are in your flying, what you're doing, how much flying time you're getting. The ENA wing also depends on what kind of ENA wing it is. There's a sort of a training wing, like a really dull, detuned, uber safe ENA, which is not particularly great to fly around in sort of, in mountains and in your cross-country conditions because they're very sluggish on launch. They tend to stop the glider shooting forward. They're kind of slow. When they're in the air, they don't have much acceleration. That kind of a wing, I would suggest you want to go to a low B from that because that's quite a step. If you are already on a kind of a high A, like an advanced alpha, where you've got performance, you've got really nice control, input and response, you're already on a fairly advanced A, call it that, then you could be looking at going into a high B if you've got a lot of hours. So yeah, you want to look at how many hours you got. Don't hurry to get through the classes because each of the classes gives you a lot of learning, and you want to kind of go out of the class when you're getting bored with the wing, like you've done everything that you can with it. Go on an SIV course, try and fly different sites, push yourself on your wing, and then progress when you're ready for it. Hope that helps you. Alexis, safety related advantages on ENC compared to an ENA. Speed is by far the biggest safety advantage there, particularly when you're flying in mountains. You're sitting on an ENA and you're in big mountains, the wind comes up and you just get pinned. And then it becomes quite a dangerous thing to fly because you've got no forward speed. There's nothing that anybody can do. I can't do anything on an ENA. You need the glider to give you that extra speed. So ENC is more speed, so it's more safety. But you've got to be able to control that wing. So it only becomes safety when you're ready for the wing. So you need to do an SIV course for sure. I wouldn't say get on a C without an SIV. You've got to have the ability to correct the glider when it goes foul, the wing collapses. You're going to have more collapses until you're better at your active flying. So I would say that is probably the only safety advantage is the speed. Everywhere else you're kind of losing resistance to stall, you're losing resistance to spin, you're going to have more collapses because it's more active. So be ready for it. It doesn't mean that you're losing safety when you are ready for it, because then you're in tune with the wing, you're flying actively, you're not having these collapses, and you can actually turn tighter because you've got more speed and energy, and it's a better thing to fly. So you definitely want to try and upgrade there, but make sure that you're ready for it. Hi Paramec, greetings from Greece. Dennis and John, too many questions. Don't worry, I see you, buddy. I'm going to try and pick some questions out here. Hey, is Olyaz there? I see somebody responding to Olyaz, and I don't see Because he's changed his name, hasn't he? Addiction Happiness. Good to see you. So I'm just trying to catch up to Addiction Happiness. Ayaz is just ahead of me, and the curve is like 10, 11,000 subscribers or something like that. And after that, we've both got to catch Andre Bandera. I don't know if Andre is here tonight, but hope he joins us. It'll be great to see him. Hi Robert B, greetings from Munich, good to see you. And John Rocker coming out of San Francisco. I'd love to, man. At the moment, doesn't make sense with COVID. So let's wait and see until things have cooled down and we've got this COVID creature in the box. Then for sure, I'd love to come and visit the States. I've had quite a few invitations from pilots to come and visit. So I would love to just come out there and fly with you guys, see the sights, see the scene. I think Southern California is a kind of area that I'll be very familiar with. Flying in Cape Town a lot, that sort of dry west coast flying with an inversion and strong thermals. So I'd love to do that, but I'd also love to go up to the north of America, fly in Oregon, go up to Canada. So I'm coming. Just be patient. Just trying to keep everything together. So yeah, Jano, as you say, 10,000 is too much. 10,000 questions. It's great. I mean, it's just lovely to see such a vibrant paragliding community coming together at last. And it's kind of like this is finally happening for me as well. I've been at this for years, guys. I mean, I've been making movies since 1996, 97. When I made my first sort of feature film, The Journey, I tried to get that out, and it was like YouTube had just started, and it was super difficult to get like videos out to pilots. Now I've got a live stream. I can just video right here. You guys can interact, and I can make a video tomorrow, and it can go around the world. So it's really, really nice. It's like the whole ecosystem has grown up, and the technology has made it possible. So thanks YouTube, and thanks you guys for signing in and watching this sort of stuff and sharing it. It makes this kind of a channel possible, which it wasn't really possible in days gone by. Hey Milko, thanks for your support. I'm just whipping through here. I'm going to pick up one of the questions that has been repeated a few times. And Andy Fowley asked, winter flying. What are the hazards in winter flying? And how do you pick a good forecast and what's a bad forecast? Thing with winter flying is you can, particularly in the UK, but in other areas in the world as well, winter flying you tend to get fairly, if it's a flyable day, you get a fairly stable day. It's usually a very steady kind of weather. You don't have thermals adding to the wind on the mountain. You don't have conditions overdeveloping. So if you can find a flyable day, you can usually fly the whole day. So look out for stuff in the winter. Obviously you've got to keep warm. You're going to have to work out how to do that. Pod harness, if you're not in a pod harness, makes a huge difference in the winter because it just diverts the airflow around you. So if you've got a pod harness and you've got a puffy jacket and some kind of windbreaker on the outside, maybe a windbreaking shell on the outside of that, that really keeps your torso warm. That's the key. These things are a problem. Hands, keeping them warm in winter. Sorry about the fireworks are going on outside, so you're going to get that. I can't cut that out of the sound anyway. Yeah, you can get the sort of the pullover wraps that you see the guys using in the Himalayas. And if you haven't got the money for them, a very cheap solution is to just get an old winter jacket and just cut the sleeves off around here and put a string around this piece. And you can slip your brake line through that, and then you've got a cover that you put your hand into and you pull those down over your hands. And that's a way of keeping your hands warm because they're always up. the blood's always draining out of them, so they do get cold. I've messed around with heat packs as well. You do get some things like from Decathlon, those little crush packs that you can put inside your gloves. That'll give you an hour or two. Otherwise, other trick that I do is I always get my hands super cold on the launch. So first I get there, I let my hands get cold, and then I go and warm them up. And I find that that just helps with the circulation. So they don't seem to get cold as quickly the second time. Once you've actually triggered that mechanism of your body warming up, they seem to stay a bit warmer. So hopefully that can help you with getting cold in winter. Otherwise, just get out there and fly. Just have shorter flights, and yeah, hike and fly. Walk up to launch. That way, by the time you get up there, you'll think it's a warm day, and then you have a half an hour flight. Come down. With a small wing, you're not going to be staying up for ages, and that's a good way to keep fit in winter and keep focused. Julio, when are you going to appear in CloudBased Mayhem? Dude, you need to go and search in the CloudBased Mayhem archives. I did a session with Gavin about a year ago, so you can listen to Gavin and I chatting in the CloudBased Mayhem. I don't usually do appearances on other channels, just because I've got so much material that I still need to publish and produce on my own. So I really need to focus. I've got video footage from the last 10 years, and it's all filed, it's all on my hard drive. But the problem is I'm the editor as well, and I just don't have the time. You know, once I start editing, it usually takes me 2 or 3 days to get some production out, and then I'm going fly. I've got family life as well, so it takes me a long time to get through all of the stuff, and I have no lack of ideas and suggestions. So it's just the time of editing. I have thought about getting an editor, but it's very, very difficult. I might do this as my channel grows, but a lot of what I create is created in the moment that I'm editing. I make it up as I go along. I don't script things beforehand and then go and film a whole, shot list of 20 shots. I find a lot of particularly the storytelling stuff, happens as I work with the material. So something like the dragon race that I recently filmed, I mean, if I had passed it over to an editor, you would have got a very different story that would probably have been more of a like an event report. And when I'm editing, it becomes something about dragons. And that's what gives me fire to keep this channel going, is like the storytelling element, where I'm actually telling a story to you guys. I'm using flying as a paint to paint the picture. So that's what I really enjoy, is when the story comes out of something that's happened in flying, and I can weave a narrative around that idea. So it's sort of a second level of storytelling that comes out when I do the editing myself, and I'm a bit reluctant to pass that over to anybody, because it's going to be a very unique kind of person that's into flying, understands the flying, can do the storytelling, but isn't running their own channel. I'm thinking of you, Addiction Happiness. I mean, Ayaz would understand that kind of thinking perfectly, but he's doing his own stories. So, our storytellers are already on YouTube with their own channels. Very difficult to find the editor that would be able to work with this kind of footage. So for the moment, you're stuck with me and my choice in music, boom boom, and my inside jokes. But I hope you appreciate it. A lot of the work is in the edit. It's very easy to film flying, and as I said, I've got hundreds of hours of video footage, and I'm sure a lot of you guys do too. You've got files sitting there, and what do you do with them? You think you filmed them when you were on the site, you filmed all this stuff, and then you get home and you see all this stuff and you look at it, and then in the end you kind of, what do you do with it? That's the hard part of making this YouTube stuff. It's the selective process of taking the clips that tell a particular story, and that takes time to learn. It takes time to learn how to film so that you've got the footage that you need, and a lot of the time I forget what I've done, to be honest. I've filmed and I've got a whole series of stuff there, but then when I come back to it, you know, when you look at it, it's just a folder on your hard drive. You have to click through to each of those and watch the videos to re-upload that day into your brain before you can realize, oh, I was doing that and I had this film and I did this and whatever. So that's the time that it takes, and that's where you don't see me for days. Robert, thank you so much, dude. Thanks for your support. Thanks for the contribution. It's a super chat. Yeah, that's why sometimes you don't see me on YouTube for days, because I'm creating. And sometimes if somebody in the family comes in and has a look to see what am I doing, it doesn't look like I'm doing any work. That's part of the necessary process of being a creative, is just like messing around with your footage, messing around on Alias's channel and Bandera, and watching Kriegel's comments, and I'm always like filtering around on YouTube, bouncing about. It's part of the process. It's looking at everybody else and getting inspired by some ideas and spinning off what other people are doing. So it's important. Those of you that are creators that are in this chat, thank you so much. Your energy helps my energy, and hopefully you get it back when I put something out there. Jano, live courses like SIV. Okay. That's a little bit of a tricky one. I'm focused on making videos at the moment. Running courses is a whole different business. That's a whole different game. So I probably will be doing some one-on-one, very limited coaching through the next year, but in the process of making films. To run a course, to have a whole big group of guys, they're guys that are already doing that. Awesome. Go and do an SIV with Jockey. You have a wild time. There are other guys that are already set up and that are doing that. So I might do some kind of live sessions, like live cross-country coaching. That might be fun to do. But I have tried live before. This is about the limit of my live capabilities. It's very difficult doing live out in the wild. All respect to Tarquin for doing the X-Alps reporting. It's not easy. Problem is live signal dropping out, trying to get the audio to work, trying to make sure you've got enough power. I'm here in a nice static environment. I can link all the power up. I've got the audio. Everything's super controlled. It's a bit easier. But doing that live, probably not, Yoda. I think I excel at making a very focused package about one thing, like, you know, edited video. So if I'm trying to do an instructional video on one thing, it's easier for me to video it, to come home and then to like condense it and filter it down to something that you can watch and it's, you know, powerful and quick and memorable. So that's where I'm focusing my attention. If there were 50 of me, then maybe we could be running a school and we could be doing trips and all of that sort of stuff. But for now, I'm on YouTube, and that's as much as this brain can handle. Okay, so I'm going to look out for some speed flying is safer. No collapse, fast reaction, able to manage more wind. Okay, very different. Each sport or offshoot of the sport has its own safety and danger. picture. So some people think that hang gliding is safer than paragliding. Some think that's acro is safer. Some think that comp flying is safer. There isn't a safer. And I think if you look across the stats over the years, paragliding is dangerous. No matter which way you do it, what you fly, how you get trained, where you fly, it's dangerous. Guys have accidents. And that seems to be fairly consistent over the years, regardless of the improvements in training. Because we have better training, we're able to do more. So we go into the back part of the Alps now, and now we're in a more extreme environment. So the risk goes up again. So I think whatever you do, however you do this picture, I wouldn't say you can do something that's going to be less risky in paragliding than some other offshoot of the sport. Speed flying, you're unlikely to have a collapse, but all wings can collapse, just like the reflex paramotor wings that they push and say, oh, they're super stable and you're flying fast. My goodness. When that thing collapses, you've got a handful. Same with speed flying. If you're flying and you don't know what you're doing and you speed fly yourself into the rotor behind a spine, you're going to have a collapse in a violent, very fast, big reaction. So yes and no. You're not going to have as many of the little small collapses. Well, the little small collapses are not a big issue. Those are the kind of shock absorber collapses which I'm quite happy to deal with on a paraglider. So the problem with speed flying is the thrill in speed flying is proximity. So you're going to be going really close to the ground for most of your run if you're into it and you're progressing. And that's a super risky environment. Anything goes wrong, you've got like half a second to react. So it's definitely a young guy's game because your reaction speed is quicker. As you get older, speed flying, proximity flying, you want more and more separation from the terrain because that reaction speed just isn't there. It's a cool game. It looks amazing on YouTube. It's great fun. But to be honest, I battle to watch a lot of the speed flying videos because it just looks like the guy's going to pound in any second. So that's why you'll see videos from me high, floating around and having good time and I'm just trying to get rid of a troll here, ACO4DE. Go away, we don't need you here. Okay, so getting back, the coaching session is going to be filmed. Yes, I plan to do that, and I will then be putting that up. That sort of stuff goes on flywithgreg.com. That's where I'm doing the more in-depth, longer, more detailed instructional how-to videos. So that's the way I'm running the channel now. The YouTube channel, this sort of live stuff, fun stories, short kind of condensed tips and fun videos and exciting stuff and stunts and whatever have you. And all of the teaching, I'm building up a course on flywithgreg.com. So for those of you that want more of the detail and understanding behind techniques and to elevate your flying, come over to Fly with Greg. There's a monthly subscription there or a yearly, and that just helps fund this channel. That's the only income that I'm earning really from paragliding videos. YouTube, YouTube ads revenue, particularly after the COVID situation, is peanuts. It's really, really tiny. To give you an idea, I think all of the subscribers, the 10,000 subscribers, result in about £100 in a month of revenue from ads that are on the videos that you watch. So, that's not going to go very far for producing all the content that I'm producing. So I'm relying on, the generosity. Thanks for those guys that are doing super chats and things like that. There's a tip jar on the main YouTube channel. You can click that if you want to. or come and join for 1 month just to see what it's like on Fly with Greg, and that helps promote and support all of these videos that I'm making for you. So that's how it all works. Hi John, speed fly in the Swiss Alps. Man, if I was living in the Swiss Alps, for sure I'd be doing speed flying. You've seen the sites where I'm living at the moment. We've got Devil's Dyke, and it's maybe 100 meters from top to bottom. Yeah, you can do speed flying there. You do a lot of walking back up the hill, so it's not the best place to be doing speed flying. I'm going to go back to a question from Raven. You see you wrote a fantasy book. Is there an audiobook available? I did actually do an audiobook. I think it might be available on my website. I'm not sure. There isn't a translation into German, I'm afraid. That's my other life as a fantasy author, which came before or sort of in the middle of paragliding, and it didn't turn me into a superstar. So I'm back with paragliding, having fun and making fun videos for you guys. Adrian, I'm going to pick up your question. How do you turn in low thermals without tipping the wing too much? Okay, good question. That really deserves a video. I will be making things down the line on thermaling, but that tipping the glider into the corner, you need to practice with weight shift and brake timing. And do that in smooth air when you're soaring. Weight shift first and then put the brake in. But as you get into lift, you can play around with that. Once you've developed that feeling of the weight shift and then the brake, if you do that in lift, you'll find if you're in the lift still and you've done the weight shift, as your wing starts accelerating again and it's just coming overhead, if you put the brake in there, you can get a really flat turn. If you let the glider go ahead of you and then you put the brake in, that's where you get the wing rolling and dropping the tip. So the timing there is really, really critical. That's why I said try and do it when you're soaring first, just in smooth air, and practice just this weight shift and then turn, and then weight shift and then turn, and just do gentle wing overs, and just play around with that movement so you get that timing of where the wing is, where it's hanging back and where it's coming forward. Because you want to capture that moment where the wing is starting to accelerate and use that to pull the brake and turn around so that the glider doesn't go ahead and then drop. And if you get that right, you can turn super, super tight. My last little video I did about turning tight, I just put an example in there. There was a very tight, grotty little grumpy thermal that I was thermaling in. You don't have to turn at 7 seconds for a full 360, but you should be working towards 15. And a lot of pilots are way over that. So work on getting that tight turn and it will help your thermaling a lot. Hey Tim, I see you there. Nice to have you here. Thanks for joining. And I see Frederick Venot, thank you very much. You're asking about everybody using reverse launch. Are there situations where forward launch is better? Okay, I use reverse launch just about everywhere. Reason is, a lot of my launches, I'm doing launches Volberf style, somewhere in off the slope, and I'm worried about pulling up and having sticks, little sticks in the lines. So I'm not launching on clean launch slopes most of the time. So I've trained myself to do a reverse launch with a backwind, running backwards, to get the wing up that I can see and I can clear any rubbish in the lines and I can see there's no pressure knots. And I think it gives you a superior check. The forward launch check, no matter how you do it, I wouldn't advise doing a forward launch and doing the sort of standard check that's up. Because your vision, when you look up, if you keep your head straight at me and you look up, you'll see you've only got 45 degrees that you can look that way. So you're very limited. Even if you put your head back, you're not seeing all the lines. So you want to put your head forward and through the risers, and then look to the sides. That way you can actually, with your peripheral vision, you can see the whole wing. You're going to need to check carefully. But yes, there are some situations, and there will only be, for me, 0 wind, super steep launch, and somewhere where I want to be able to run, and I need to be able to see what I'm running over, like it's really tricky terrain. So that's the only time that I would do a forward launch. Otherwise, I would do a reverse, even if I need to do a long run, get the wing up clean and then turn, and then go into your forward running position. But that instant of being able to check the wing on the pull-up, I think is very, very important. And a lot of pilots in the beginning don't realize that with the reverse pull-up, you don't have to run into the wind. You can pull and you can walk towards the wing. So you don't use up much of that launch area. You can actually walk back to get to where the wing was lying out. And that way your launch is incredibly short. And pilots that do forward launch don't tend to do that. It's tricky to walk backwards while balancing the wing in light conditions. So go for the reverse if you can, and train yourself to be able to run backwards and pull the wing up and get it nice and clean. It's a super, super way of launching. Cool. Okay. And just quickly going through here. Okay, product reviews. Parasol. I'm deliberately not doing product reviews. At the moment, I've got so much instructional content that I'm wanting to get out, and I feel that I can do that very well. I can explain the concepts of flying and the techniques and tricks to keep you safe with your flying in a way that's simple to understand and that you can benefit from. It's easy to do a product review, and other people can do that. And so of course then I'm competing for views with other people that are doing product reviews. I don't want to be in that space of doing product. And product reviews tend to end up being an ENB glider review. It's not particularly what I want to fly all the time. I enjoy flying my END wing, and I can demonstrate everything on my END wing just as well as I can on an ENB, because the END is actually shows off more. If I stall the wing, it bends back more. It comes in with more speed, so it's easier to demonstrate what I'm doing. So I'm enjoying at the moment doing the instructional reviews, instructional videos. I appreciate that not all pilots want to see that. Some of you guys are different levels. It's difficult for me to always make a video for high-level pilots, mid-level and low-level pilots. I try and kind of make something that's useful for everybody. I might do product reviews down the line, but at the moment that's not where my focus is, and I'll look at that next year maybe, and see where we go. But I'm having fun with building the flying course, and I want to get that done first so that it's complete before I start looking at all the latest wings out there and what's best and doing head-to-heads. The product reviews are also incredibly time consuming. I don't think pilots realize how much time goes into making that sort of a product review. If you want to speak with authority about any glider that's new in the market, you've got to fly a lot of hours on it, and you need to compare against other gliders, which is incredibly difficult to do it scientifically. So I'm avoiding the difficult job at the moment. I'm doing the easy one. Cool. Hey, Maestro. Cheers. Nice to see you from Russia. Thanks for popping in. Great to have you here. Sean Flores asking about coming out of a spiral. Anything on pitch control? Okay, well, it depends on the wing that you're flying. The lower class gliders seem to come out of the spiral a little bit more on their own, quite easy, and they come out with a automatic sort of pitch back. You tend to swing, lines are slightly shorter and you tend to swing a bit, and then the glider comes forward and dampens out that surge pretty effectively. I mean, if you come out of a spiral on an E and A, the camber on the wing is so big, the wing just goes forward and there's so much drag generated, it just stops. They don't really pitch much, and particularly the last 3 years I've noticed E and A and E and B wings are particularly resistant to pitching ahead. So you shouldn't be having much of a problem coming out of a spiral with that dive forward. The wings should absorb a lot of that. As you go up in the classes, the E and C wing is going to dive more. It's going to retain that energy coming out of the spiral, and then it's going to accelerate. And the best technique for coming out of a spiral and controlling that spiral pitch is to continue the spiral turn. So it's a trick of doing the spiral. When you decide to exit, you lean out of the spiral and you brake just enough to slow the turn. As soon as you feel it slowing, you lean back into the spiral and you put your spiraling brake back on. As soon as you've broken that spiral turn and you're starting to exit, the glider is converting into a climb, and leaning and turning will just give you a nice turn that will drive you right through your wake. So be prepared for a bit of a wobble as you go through your wake, particularly if you've done a really deep spiral, but that's easy to manage compared to the sort of massive pitch dive. Right. So Loris, hope that sort of covers your question as well. You often encounter your own wake turbulence after exiting wing overs via a short spiral or generally after a spiral. Yep, that's what happens if you continue the turn. You will go through your wake, so just be prepared for it. And the same with coming out of wing overs, you're going to go through that wake turbulence. Maybe you can just modify your turn a bit to try and avoid that wake turbulence. Think about where it is and see if you can vary your exit turn, but that's usually going to be there. Hey Michael, how's it, Brew? From South Africa, good to see you. And Brian asking about, you can pull out side A on one side and you're outside C and the other wing when coming into land. Haven't tried on the ground. Yeah, that is one of the techniques. I've recently did a Killing It video on my membership side. You can go and have a look at that. It's currently a free video, so I highly recommend checking that out. It's like killing your wing in strong wind. It goes through that. A on one side, C on the other. It does work, but there's a better technique. And I would recommend doing both A's, the frontal. Reason being, what you're trying to achieve is accelerating the wing. You're doing this in really strong wind. So typically pilots are even drifting backwards. And when you do a full frontal, as you're coming in, as you touch down, that pulling on the A's gives your glider a little surge of acceleration. So it's the maximum speed you're going to get out of that wing, which means it's the minimum amount of drag. It's not going to pull you over the ground, and that's what gets pilots. When they touch down, the movement backwards over the ground, it's particularly if it's rocky, that can really mess up the landing. That's where you trip, fall, and then you hit a rock, and then you pull the brake, and then you get hit in. So I'm trying to make sure that pilots coming down in that extreme situation have the least pull from the glider. And by doing both A's, you're accelerating. It's like going onto speed bar. You accelerating the wing, and then the wing flies itself down to a low level. If the wind's really strong, it's never going to hit the ground. It's going to then fall back in the wind, and you need to have wrapped the brakes and run at the wing to get the wing to fall on its back. But that's why I always steer pilots back to the double A technique. You'll see there's a few variations that I do in the video. There's also AA, so you mistime it, you do one and then you do the other, and that starts your turn. And that's a very effective way, and it's consistent. I've just done those over and over and over.